I just think it's goofy to call it the death lineup. That first time around,
dude,
they
dominated during the regular season. They dominated in the first round against Denver.
We haven't even seen it during the regular season, so stop. They didn't even play together. They played 11 games together. Jokic, I mean, had a big series, had big numbers, didn't have a lot come along for the ride with him, but I think just as that series went on, I think my opinion of the Nuggets went up and what they were able to do, even despite I thought being way outmanned. And at the beginning of the series, I felt like the Warriors, oh my God, this looks devastating. And I think by the end, they looked a lot more mortal. Is that fair?
Yeah, I'd say they looked more mortal at the end. But still, I mean, like their 5-man death lineup is still outscoring in that series Denver by 23 points in 39 total minutes.
But they're outscoring Denver.
To your point, it's Denver. It's Denver. And it's not going to be Memphis or Minnesota. It's not going to be Phoenix or some other formidable opponent in the West, or never mind somebody in the East in the finals. You're right. So you feel.
I just think we went a little too far with the death lineup thing because this is not. But I don't watch that.
But how much of that is because Poole had like a couple of cool games, where he wasn't on fire? How much of it is that?
Probably a lot of it. But I mean, like that. I just think I think people easily forget what that was like. Like it's been a little while. It's been 5-6 years since we saw that. But I mean, when that first started going, you got to remember, to me, that first death lineup, they changed the league.
You're talking
completely.
You're talking, just to throw the lineup out there. Clay,
Iguodala,
Steph, Draymond, Iguodala, Harrison Barnes. That one. The first one.
Or Livingston.
Yes. And like
right?
the different combinations. But that's why with the current Golden State roster, I'm intrigued by it, though.
Well, and
because they do have different combos. Sometimes it's Porter. Sometimes it's Gary Payton, who was amazing last night.
But this is what I'm saying. That first one, and I covered series where they were throwing that thing out there. And I was covering a team that had two big guys at the time in Zach Randolph and Marc Gasol. I saw them play other teams. You saw them play that Oklahoma City team, with Russ and with KD that's got Steven Adams or Kendrick Perkins or whoever is playing center. Like, teams were not equipped in the same way to deal with it at the time that was going. It changed the league. It changed what people value in the draft. It changed the way teams are able to go small themselves. It changed everything. And so when I hear this death lineup now, I look at it, I thought that was the death lineup because you couldn't match up with that. Most teams they don't match up with it as well. This was a particularly terrible matchup because you have to play Jokic if you're Denver, or else you're a friggin' 10-win team, basically, right? Like I think, what was the number? They were like a 16-win team with the way they played with him off the court. So you have to play him. So this is especially devastating against a team that has to play a traditional center, right? I do think across the board, you see these teams, they're loaded up with wings. They're loaded up with a guy they could go small with that can man the paint. I don't know. I think, to me, it's a bridge too far that this is like death lineup 2.0, because the first time around, teams were so ill-prepared to deal with them.
I disagree with you, Chris. And I think you're going to find that out next round.
All right.
I do. I do. I think.
You're crazy. Memphis has got wings on wings on wings. And don't do this again. You did this last year with egg all over your face. So don't do it again.
With Golden State?
Yeah.
I mean, last year was totally different circumstances.
You mean they had a home game to make the playoffs and got waxed?
The team, they didn't have Klay Thompson. Draymond Green wasn't the same. It was a totally different. That's not even comparable. It's irrelevant compared to the situation that they're in now. Jordan Poole is a completely different player. Their bench is different. It's completely different. Like, it doesn't matter what happened last year. I would
it's also a completely different Memphis team.
It is 100%. You're right.
And they've got wings on wings on wings.
You're right. But some of the concerns are still there. You mentioned Steven Adams. What will his role be in the series? Jaren Jackson, falling issues. Can he stay on the floor? Ja Morant, point of attack defense, while also having to carry a load offensively. There are some matchup concerns if we do get Golden State versus Memphis in the second round of the playoffs.
The best thing that can happen for Memphis is a team going small. Their most devastating lineup is one with Brandon Clark and Jaren Jackson in the front court.
Isn't Brandon Clark something else?
Yeah.
That tip out offensive board he had the other night it had me screaming. It was so exciting.
I mean, look, and that's one thing about the Timberwolves. They don't play small. They always play somebody big. So it's a different deal. You know,
I think, to your point, Memphis matches up way better in 2022 than they did years ago with the Grit and Grind Grizzlies. Way better. You're 100% right. I still think the Warriors combinations with their revised, modernized version of their death lineup, like this is really the third iteration. We mentioned the Barnes Iguodala one. Then you insert Kevin Durant for Harrison Barnes. You get that version. This version, you're inserting Andrew Wiggins.
I mean, none of those players are better either.
No,
Steph's not as good as he was. Clay's not as good as he was.
It's not that it's better. It's just different. It's the new version.
It's got Andrew Wiggins in it.
Yeah, well, sometimes it's got Gary Payton. Sometimes it's got Otto Porter in there. Your favorite player, Otto Porter. All we're missing is Rashawn Holmes on the Warriors roster, and we'd be having a good-ass time here, Chris. For longtime listeners of the
Which of Otto Porter's 3 points last night was your favorite?
What was our argument last year where I was like, he's a good shooter, and you're like, he takes 2 threes a game?
Yeah. He's the only guy I've ever seen that's an outstanding shooter that's professed to be a shooter who averages 2 3-pointers a game for his career.
Shooting 39.8% for his career, Chris Vernon. He's not a good shooter.
Because you make 2. If you make 2, who cares? It doesn't matter.
All right. So with Golden State, though, I'm a believer in their death lineup. You are not. Is that a fair thing to say?
I just think it's goofy to call it the death lineup. That first time around,
dude, they dominated during the regular season. They dominated in the first round against Denver.
We haven't even seen it during the regular season, so stop. They didn't even play together. They played 11 games together. Steph and Clay and Draymond were never on the court together.
Yeah, we didn't see it a lot, but we did see it. We saw it during the regular season towards the end of the year. A little bit. Different combinations, but it's looking much, much, much better during the
And they played the Nuggets. Stop. All right. And now on the Nuggets front, we talked about dissecting the Bulls. The Nuggets are just a typical, run it back. You clearly didn't have your guys. It's a different world with Murray and Porter. And you would have had a better regular season, and you certainly would have been more equipped in the playoffs. But we never saw Murray. We never saw Porter, despite reports coming out that we might see them. And maybe this is a lesson learned for us. We were led to believe that we might see Murray and Porter. We were led to believe we might see Kawhi. We were led to believe we might see Zion. We were led to believe we might see Ben Simmons. Maybe we just need to, remind me of this next time around when we spend way too much time talking about guys that might come back, because friggin' none of them came back.